Sí, papá. Dale, a ver.
Tengo su boca. A ver. Chiqui, 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 chiqui. Ahí está. Give me this, give me this. Ahí está. Let's go. Come. Ahí está. Muy bien. Woohoo.
As adults, we take walking for granted, this incredibly weird and unique form of locomotion that we find ourselves doing all the time. But if you really sit and think about it, there's a lot going on. An incredible amount of things have had to come together for humans to be able to do this. How do you expect a tiny little body to stand up and master that?
Uno dei momenti veramente più importanti nello sviluppo delle abilità motorie del bambino durante il primo anno di vita. Un momento veramente bellissimo e particolare. Per la prima volta il bambino si lascia, fa questi primi passi insicuri.
One of the main things that we're interested in looking at is not just when do kids walk, but what happens to their world when they walk. This is a really difficult question because really walking changes every part of the baby's lives. And so where do we begin to even untangle that whole mess of threads?
Trotamundos.
I think they're very close to walking, both of them. Eloisa pretty much is standing up all the time. The only thing she doesn't do is just go ahead and walk. It looks like she's more ready than him because she is more stable. It's always funny to watch Augusto. When he's jumping, he just goes really quickly everywhere. And he looks so happy doing it that it makes you laugh every time.
¿No te asustaste lo suficiente?
When you look at him, I think, oh, he's a bit slow, he's not learning as quick as his sister. But then he's very clever. He can see there's more than one way to do it, and one is more difficult for him, so he's clever enough to choose the easy way and just get on whatever he wants to do. Augusto was so far away from her that I think Eloisa was kind of waiting. And one Tuesday, she just did her first steps. It was a memorable moment.
¡Qué bien! You did it!
Da sempre ho amato la scienza, il modo in cui la scienza ti permette di comprendere quello che succede intorno a te. Sin da piccola sono sempre stata affascinata dalle leggi della natura, dal movimento degli uomini e degli animali. Ho studiato fisica e poi mi sono spostata verso la neurofisiologia e mi sono appassionata davvero allo studio di come i bambini imparano a camminare. Quando il bambino nasce c'è un movimento che assomiglia tantissimo al cammino. Lo possiamo chiamare cammino del neonato. Quando ho avuto i miei figli è stata la prima cosa che ho testato e ho provato. Dai, patatina. Supporti il bambino per circa 70% del suo peso e i suoi piedini sono in contatto con una superficie liscia. Il bambino riesce a mettere questi passi uno davanti all'altro, a muovere alternativamente le gambe una davanti all'altra. E questo è uno dei riflessi che lui ha, il più misterioso, perché non si sa l'origine di questo riflesso. Nel 2010, con i miei colleghi della Fondazione Santa Lucia a Roma, volevamo studiare se i neonati nascono già con un'abilità innata del cammino. Volevamo sapere se il cammino del neonato rappresenta le fondamenta dalle quali il bambino costruisce poi il suo cammino indipendente, oppure se è solo uno strano comportamento che scompare completamente dopo la nascita e quindi il cammino indipendente è un tipo di movimento completamente nuovo. La nostra ipotesi era che il cammino del neonato, i primi passi del bambino, fossero connessi. Hi, hello. Thank you for coming. And who we got here today?
This is Benjamin, and now he's 3 weeks old.
Oh, wow. I will just explain a little bit what will happen during the experiment. So we will put really like small sensors to record the muscular activity.
Okay.
Everything is safe and everything is properly done for babies. Ready to walk? Yes. That's. You can stay here. Abbiamo fatto questo studio in collaborazione con il reparto di neonatologia dell'ospedale Sant'Eugenio in Roma, dove c'erano questi bambini di 2-3 giorni di vita. Oh, yeah. Volevamo studiare l'attività muscolare del cammino del neonato per poi confrontarla con l'attività muscolare del cammino indipendente. Ready? Ok, can start. Number 1. E quindi mettevamo dei piccoli sensori in grado di catturare l'attività elettrica dei muscoli in diversi muscoli del bambino. Insieme a questo abbiamo messo anche dei sensori, quindi di vedere proprio in che modo si muoveva il bambino. In questo modo nessuno prima aveva studiato il cammino dei neonati. Ok? Yes. Oh, I don't remember when they are so young. What we're gonna do now is we start the treadmill and you will start to walk. Try. Wow. Yeah. So we go. Walking. That's right. Yeah. Where is your mommy? Where is your mommy? Yeah. Mommy. È stata una ricerca abbastanza impegnativa, ma bellissima. Alla fine siamo riusciti a registrare 46 neonati. Prima la tecnologia era non a livello tale che ti permettesse di fare questo tipo di esperimento. Ma ci abbiamo provato e ci siamo riusciti. Sono contenta di dire. Per testare la nostra ipotesi dovevamo raccogliere maggiori dati sui primi passi dei bambini, vedere la relazione che c'era tra le diverse fasi dello sviluppo del cammino, per vedere se c'era o meno una correlazione tra il cammino del neonato e il cammino indipendente.
That's Mommy's phone. Just ignore it. He's absolutely shifting his weight from the left leg to the right leg, and he's trying to use his feet to get to his toy. Good boy. Keep coming. Nathan, come. Come, Nathan, come. Come. Yeah, come. Come. All right. Do you want to let go? And you can walk to Mommy. Do you want to do that? Do you want to walk to me? Come on then. Come. That's my boy. There you go, little Nelson. Come on. Nelson is a good boy. He's walking now. He's a big boy. Yes. Yes. You've done such a great job, my son. Well done, you. Well done, Nelson.
Get up.
Today he walked all the way from the sitting room and all the way up to here, babe.
Wow.
Without grabbing onto anything.
Proper little chap.
Like proper walking.
Proper little chap. God, I just can't get over. Look at this. I just can't get over. He's like a little Speedy Gonzales. Look at that. That's just amazing. He's gone from a few really tentative steps to like just going nuts. I haven't quite grasped how terrifying this is going to be.
Okay, select one of the TV children. So different from the others.
You're so big.
Yeah, a big boy. Volevamo confrontare l'attività muscolare dei neonati con quella dei bambini piccoli durante i loro primi passi indipendenti. E così abbiamo registrato 10 bambini durante i loro primissimi passi. Dopo aver registrato tutti questi bambini, neonati, primi passi, è cominciato il lavoro dell'analisi dei dati. Il cammino del neonato è un cammino molto semplice. Bastano 2 pattern di attivazione per poter ricostruire, diciamo, tutta l'attività dei muscoli nel cammino del neonato. E questi 2 pattern sono proprio uno legato al carico, quando il bambino è in contatto con la superficie, e l'altro è legato, si relaziona con il movimento di scalciamento. Quando il bambino comincia a camminare, conserva questi pattern di base che sono già presenti nel neonato. E questa è stata davvero la cosa sorprendente. Non è completamente diverso, non è una cosa che parte da zero. Ci sono questi elementi, questi blocchi di costruzione che il bambino utilizza per poter poi costruire il suo cammino indipendente. La cosa fantastica di questi risultati sono stati, diciamo, la conferma della nostra ipotesi iniziale. Il bambino nasce già con una, chiamiamola, primitiva abilità di camminare. La cosa sorprendente è stata che abbiamo trovato gli stessi patterns di attivazione di questi movimenti di base, ma con l'aggiunta di 2 nuovi patterns che sono necessari al bambino per camminare da solo per la primissima volta. Questi 2 nuovi pattern sono il primo legato al momento di appoggio, alla veramente la fase in cui per la prima volta il bambino tocca il tavolo, il pavimento, e il secondo durante la fase di push-off, quando viene rilasciato e quindi la propulsione durante la fase del cammino. In questo modo loro possono quindi controllare la forza che impiegano per poter camminare e quindi la velocità del movimento e controllare in che momento e in che posizione possono mettere il piede durante il cammino. Ha ricevuto molto interesse questa ricerca e questo è fantastico perché di solito si pensa che i neonati non siano in grado di fare nulla, ma non è così. Hanno davvero questa capacità già presente appena nascono.
Oh, good boy! Good boy! Stand up. Oh, stamp, stamp, stamp. Stamp, stamp, stamp.
Irish jig dancing?
Yeah.
Ovviamente naturalmente il bambino comincia a camminare. È importante per i genitori sapere che possono stimolare questo cammino nel neonato.
Sumo boy. Our little man.
Un bambino ha bisogno di crescere, sviluppare a livello cerebrale e sviluppare la forza fisica prima che possa camminare da solo. Ma quanto più si può incoraggiare il bambino a camminare e usare i suoi muscoli, tanto più lo si può aiutare nel suo sviluppo fisico.
Good job.
Augusto doesn't seem too interested in walking yet. Because he's a twin, I can obviously compare him all the time with Eloisa, and I can see he's a late developer. At the beginning, I was really worried. When he was born, I immediately noticed he had a weak side. Eloisa was 2 kilos and 700 grams, and Augusto was a little bit under 2. He was really tiny, so we had to stay in the incubator for 10 days. It felt really scary. We had him checked, seen by a special pediatric development specialists. And they gave us a lot of reassurance that he's fine, he doesn't have any problem.
Denise?
He's just lower in the development.
My area of particular interest is how exercise and physical activity ends up reflected in skeletal remains. I come from a long line of people who like to pick up very heavy objects and put them down again. In my spare time, I am a powerlifter and a CrossFit instructor. My grandfather was a bodybuilder and a gymnast. He was one of the only people to ever do a gymnastics routine on top of the Empire State Building. One of the ideas that's fascinated me my whole life is not only how exercise shapes and grows your muscles, but the fact that it can also shape and grow your skeleton as well. If you do a lot of activity, your body is gonna lay down more bone. If you're a couch potato, it's gonna take away bone. Infants were my big interest when I was in graduate school. What I was really interested in knowing was, how does the young human skeleton respond to the challenges of standing upright and taking your first steps?
Hi, do you want to come? Do you want to come to mommy? Oh, by the way, he can pick himself up now. Like if he fell on the floor or if he sat down, he can go from sitting position to standing position to walking.
In my field, people have always thought that there was some sort of line in the sand where after a particular age, the activity that you did was affecting your body, but before that it wasn't. We tended to ignore how activity affects the bones of very young children, of infants and toddlers. I realized that there was this huge gaping hole, this deficit in our knowledge. So in 2006, I visited about 15 different museums throughout Europe and Africa and the United States and the Middle East, essentially carrying about 130 pounds of scientific equipment on my back to look at infant bones. I was really interested in exploring developmental changes, but across a broad range of time and space. So I was looking at individuals as recent as the 20th century, but also dating all the way back to 250,000 years ago across multiple countries and continents. One of the things about working with the remains of very young individuals is that the remains are very fragile. And when you're handling them and studying them, it's easy to sometimes think about the children that they were, the children that died thousands, hundreds, decades ago, right? But if you pay attention to them, right, those children get to speak to you again in a new way. You can get these very brief snapshots at different phases of growth, and that's incredibly valuable. The data that I collect is bone cross-sections. I mold the outside of the bone to get a nice replica of the outside of the bone cross-section. And then I take a couple of x-rays from different angles in order to reconstruct the inside of the bone. I ended up collecting data on over 600 infants and children. When I got back, what I ended up doing was developing all these different films by hand. It was such an enormous relief to see the slow, hazy emergence of these young kids' bones finally coming out on film.
Yeah, so this one's actually pretty small. This one's probably around 1 year old, actually. Little.
As I looked at the data, I could see that there were interesting patterns in early childhood growth that didn't look very much like adults at all. When you look at the cross-section of an adult leg bone, it looks like an upside-down teardrop. So it's really long from front to back. However, what I was looking at when I was seeing the kids, they were not this upside-down teardrop shape. They were sort of like a wide oval. And then it started to normalize and go back towards this adult-like pattern. by the time they're around 5 or 6. Seeing the bones get suddenly wide was really surprising and was really exciting because it looked like there might be unique patterns of bone growth that you only see in little kids in response to walking. At the time, this was kind of an unusual idea. We were still stuck in this mindset that it was really only adult bones that responded to exercise. I will never forget reviewer 2 on my very first paper of trying to publish this, who left me a 1-sentence review that simply said, "Children's bones don't respond to exercise." So that was the kind of pushback that I was dealing with from some members of the academic community at the time. But once I'd seen this pattern, I really knew that I wanted to explore this further. A unique shape just wasn't enough. So I started talking to a few of my colleagues about how we could possibly add some data from living children to this issue.
Balancing.
You gotta come and get it. That's it. Turn yourself around. Good boy.
He just had no interest in crawling. And then he sort of started cruising quite a lot, sort of walking around the table or along the sofa.
Yeah, I've almost got him. Where's the fuzzy bee? You got him.
But he still finds that he needs that safety net. Even when he's walking up the corridor, he's sort of got one hand on the wall just as a bit of a safety.
Round the corner.
I don't feel like he's quite ready yet to take that hand away. It's quite a nice sort of comfort for him being able to hold on to the side of it.
Come on to Dad, buddy. Hey, buddy. Paz. Hey, come here. Come to Dad. Come on.
He looks so happy with himself.
Good walking.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, he's doing it. And he sort of did about 3 or 4 steps and then fell over. And we were like, wow, that was his first steps.
Come over here. Yo!
It was a real proud moment. I feel like out of all the milestones that a baby has in the first year of their life, for me, walking was a really big one.
Where's Daddy?
This one.
Where's Daddy?
Come on.
Hey!
Sometimes I do feel like a bone detective. It's interesting because I'm always investigating this thing, the human skeleton, that most people would not find that informative. But I had this hunch that the unique shape of the bone I was seeing in individuals right after they started walking had something to do with shifting their weight back and forth. I needed more information. I really needed some living babies.
Hi.
No, we're gonna give it back to her?
Yeah. That is much more exciting. That's so nice.
I contacted Dr. Kara Ackerbach. She works primarily with locomotion and activity in living humans.
Yeah, right. Sure is hard. It's difficult. You want it? You can stick it on your hand. Boop. So what we're gonna do is put several of these kind of all throughout her body, highlighting the major joints so we can see how they move when she walks across the floor. We're gonna see how many will stay on before they get torn off and put into mouths. And basically when the cameras look at them, they're turned into this collection of dots. And we'll get to see just specifically how those different joints are moving as they walk along. Yeah. Yeah.
Come back, Freddie, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Yeah, come back. You guys are doing great.
I think we're gonna have some great walks.
Yes, yeah. I wanted to test the fact that babies' bodies can change, that babies' bodies do actually respond to exercise and loading in the same way that adults do.
Go in. All right,
Just go
we're gonna.
And it's often, it'll be helpful for you to hold her when you do.
The type of data that I wanted to have is called force plate data. When you look at how adults walk, the knees are underneath their center of mass, underneath their bodies. This allows them to lift up one foot and not go toppling over and stay balanced on that stance leg. One of the things that you see is that most of their force is angled front to back. What we're actually measuring is something called ground reaction force. You can see essentially the ground pushing back up at these individuals who are walking across the force plates.
Let's go see what Dada's doing.
With these little toddlers, their legs just go straight down from the thigh to the knee to the foot, which results in this really wide base.
Got it. Who is it? Call Rambo?
Where's Dad?
Where's Dada?
What we needed to measure was the relative amount of front to back force, also side to side force.
Go get him. Go get him. Perfect. That's a good one.
We use 3D imagery to capture how their body moves as they walk across the force plate.
One more time, Mabel. One more. Good job, Mabel.
Those are
Beautiful
perfect.
shot. Beautiful
You
shot.
did so good.
Mabel is our all-star walker. Each red line is the step that she's taking, and that's the force. Oh. She pushes down on the ground, and the ground pushes back up at her. Oh. And so that's what you're seeing. No. Look at that. That's fantastic.
It's very seldom that we actually get to combine skeletal data with data on living children, and it couldn't have worked out more seamlessly. With the 3D data, we could capture how young walkers actually do shift from side to side. And in addition to that, the force plates were actually capturing this side to side motion. Essentially, what's happening is during this very unique, brief period of development, the body is laying down more bone on the sides of the legs in order to resist these forces of toddling back and forth. It was a long path, but it was really exciting to get to the point where I could finally confirm my original hunch. Once they do manage to stand upright and start walking, that this enterprise actually changes the shape of their skeletons. And we can actually see that.
Gotta jump.
And I actually... Your kid's bones are affected by everything that child does on a day-to-day basis. Exercise isn't just important for adults. The bones that are actively forming in a child's body need that stimulus in order to be healthy. So letting your kids run, letting your kids jump, letting your kids play, all those things are really important, not only for their metabolic health, but for the actual health of their skeleton.
Gracias. Do you see the birdies? Yes, do you see the birdies? Yeah? Okay, you want to walk by yourself? Fair enough. You're a big boy now. Good boy.
He's now the one who's dictating what's happening around him. So he's walking towards what he himself wants to see.
Bye.
It's like he was sleeping and he just all of a sudden woke up to this new, big, wild world.
Good, Nelson.
It's just fascinating to watch him become his own person.
Although it's a little bit bittersweet because I see my little baby kind of just drifting into this toddler.
Travel broadens the mind. It's true for adults, and it's also true for babies. One thing that I've always been interested in, when babies begin to walk, their whole world expands. They can travel faster, travel further, point at things in their environment. Everyday occurrences become entirely different. One of the big questions that I've been interested in is what happens when children begin to walk, and how does that change their world? When I was a graduate student, I devised an experiment. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna come right in. We're trying to test whether or not walking and crawling babies remember objects differently. You can just have a seat here on the couch.
Okay.
And Nadia can just play on the floor. And I'll be back to check on you in 10 minutes.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We showed crawling and walking babies different objects. We gave an emotion towards those objects, then we just looked to see what object did the child play with.
Can you roll it? There you go.
As part of that experiment, I happened to give the parent a language survey.
There you go.
And this was primarily just to distract the parents so they wouldn't interfere during the actual experiments.
What have you got there?
The main finding was not at all about emotion.
Oh, thank you so much.
What we'll give. What we learned from the questionnaire was that walking infants had significantly larger vocabulary sizes, both in terms of how many words they understood, but also how many words that they could say, regardless of their age.
Are you playing fetch with yourself? That's a doorstop. Can I have the ball? That's good.
Finding this was a shock, to say the least. This was something that we had never seen before. The next decade or so of my life would be spent looking into why was there this difference that I found by accident. As a new professor at UC Merced, I knew that I really wanted to find out what is it about walking babies that's different from crawling babies that explains this difference in their language. My first hypothesis was that the walking infants would hear more words. I thought they'd be getting into more things, and that would elicit more parent talk about the things that they were getting into. So we went into about 20 families' homes to really capture how do parents and children talk when they're just in their everyday home environments.
Come on in. You want to chat out back?
Sure.
Let's go have a seat.
All right. Oh, it's so nice out here. So the idea for today's visit is to get a normal day in Penelope's world. So what we want to see is all the words that Penelope hears and all the babbling that she does. And to do that, we're going to have her wear this Lena recording device. Yeah, and so we're going to have Penelope wear this the whole day. Once we turn it on, it just stays recording, and we'll put it into this little vest. So she can simply wear the vest all day, and then you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Okay? So it should fit. You want to give me a hand? Oh, thank you. The Lena recording device is a great tool that researchers can use. It records all the words that the child hears, as well as all the babbling and talking that the baby might be doing. And it really gives us kind of the quantity of language that the infant is being exposed to in their day.
There you go, you're ready.
And that's it. You and Penelope just have a normal day, go about your daily life, and then tomorrow I'll come by and pick it up. Bye.
Hello, Fox. Did you see the coyote?
Whoa. They're fast, too. Yeah, the fence. Yeah, the goats. Yeah, goats. What do goats say? Goats say, ma. I like that. Yeah, that one's up on a log.
This is the output that we get from the little recording device. It actually can extract all the words that the child heard during the day, as well as the words that she might have said. What we see here are the ebbs and flows, the parent talking, and the number of words that the parent said in 5-minute stretches. So for example, at 10:50, the child heard 374 adult words. The other thing that the software can do for us is also look at the child's vocalizations. The last thing that we can look at are what are called conversational turns. So this is almost like a discussion that might be happening, a ping pong happening.
That's a lion. What does a lion say? What are you doing, Bear?
When we looked at the data, it was pretty clear. In terms of how much the parents said, walking and crawling babies seem to be hearing the same number of words during a day. Similarly, walking and crawling infants seem to be making the same number of vocalizations during the day. Not at all what I was predicting. So the next thing we want to do was to peel back another layer and say, well, let's just not look at quantity. Let's actually look at the quality of the language environment, particularly those rich segments during the child's day.
You are a good walker.
So from Penelope's day at the zoo, we had some really nice interactions.
Oh, look at this black and white duck coming up. Hello, duck. What does the duck say? Quack, quack, quack. Is that rooster? Bunny.
This little bit really tells me as a researcher a whole lot more. We hear Penelope trying to say duck.
Did you say duck? Duck.
Struggling with it, the parent then noticing that, helping to shape that babbling and repeating the word, yes, duck.
Duck. Duck.
And then what does Penelope do? She learns in that moment how to pronounce the word duck.
Duck. Good job. Duck. Yeah, there are ducks in there.
What's really interesting with a lot of our findings so far is that there are qualitative differences in how parents are interacting with their child if they're crawling and walking. And that then is one of the main predictors of the child's vocabulary development.
Let's go this way.
It seemed as if once they made that transition from crawling to walking, no matter what age they were when it happened, you saw this inflection in their vocabulary development. And really this dramatic increase in terms of the rate of word learning has a lifelong impact. You don't go backwards, you only go forwards. No matter the age of your child, talking to your baby is important. What our research is showing is that when your child starts walking, it matters even more.
What is this? That is the Red River hog.
I think it's really important to think about development as interconnected.
This way.
how did something like language and motor development, social interactions, how did they work together to foster this amazing creature that's unlike any other?
You're always after the camera.
The first year of life for these little guys is incredibly challenging.
Oh my god, Richie just walked! He did just walk! He did just walk, oh my god! I think I dropped the camera there because I was like, oh my god! He just walked!
But it's something that's going to shape their body and shape their anatomy for the rest of their lives.
Thank you for my phone. There we go. Finally, we get you walking.
Walking is a complete game changer for the infant. It's actually setting them on a cascade of changes that are going to happen. The baby's life is forever changed, the parent's life is forever changed, and most importantly, the way the baby and the parent interact is forever changed.
Kick! Kick, 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 kick.
Ay, gracias. Gracias.
Stop. You're right, Nelson. Stop. Yeah, and that's an orange walking line.
Imparare a camminare è il momento clou del loro sviluppo. Perché da questo momento il mondo è loro, possono andare e conquistare.
Augustus was just jumping on his bottom as usual. And on one of those jumps, he just stood up and kept on walking, as if he had been doing that forever. We're very happy. It took him some time, but he caught up. He's always dancing and jumping and proving he can do things.